Hey everybody, welcome to Optimism Fractal number 16. Hope that you're doing great. Hope that you're having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm here with Tadas and Rosmari and Hodlon and Vlad and Zaal, and we are about to play the respect game and also do some planning. Feel free if anyone wants to say hello, who's here, or share anything that you want. I'm going to share a little presentation as I do about what we're doing here at Optimism Fractal. So I suppose I'll jump right into it. Okay, so for anybody not familiar, Optimism Fractal is a community that is dedicated to fostering collaboration and awarding public goods creators and optimism. You can learn more at optimismfractal.com. It's an awesome place to meet optimists and talented innovators in the Optimism Collective and develop and grow thriving communities, and also, of course, earn respect at the respect game, where participants share what they're doing to help optimism and then collaborate to rank each other's contributions. We play this every week for the first hour, and it's also a great place to promote your work too. Everybody gets a chance to share what they're doing, and then we produce the videos and share them, which you can find on the website. And we're working to grow optimism, all sorts of cool stuff that you can find on the website that I think you know about by now. But if you're tuning in for the first time, thanks so much for joining, and hope that you'll enjoy watching the videos and joining the events. Everybody's welcome to join, and we use tools built on the OP stack by Vlad and Tadas as well, and also several other developers who have been helping and are interested in helping too. So check out optimismfractal.com to learn more about all the cool tools and games and shows that we're creating. And also you can check out the Optimistics Twitter account or X account or farcaster account. Optimistics is the team that first created Optimism Fractal, and we just put out a tweet over here inviting everyone to join on Mondays at 17 UTC and sharing a little bit more details about the event, as well as our recent updates we've made. Like, for example, for the past just about a month now, we've been doing planning sessions every week at the hour after the respect game for a half hour, where we coordinate the future Optimism Fractal. And we recently formed the Optimism Fractal Council as well, following up with the bootstrap phase, and started passing proposals. People can vote with respect and so forth. And we shared a little bit of an overview about how anybody can vote in the Snapshot poll and so forth on these proposals. So you can check that out on X and Farcaster. Appreciate if you like and follow and share to help spread the word about all the cool things that we're doing with Optimism Fractal. You can see Rosemary's account here where she shared it. And then, of course, you can watch the videos at optimismfractal.com/videos. These all have timestamps and show notes and descriptions and so forth. We just published the 11th episode about community power and collaborative growth and how these kinds of collaborative events empower creativity. And there's also many other great episodes that you can watch here as well. And, of course, everybody's welcome to join every Monday at 17 UTC. The event page, you hit RCP in the corner, and you'll see this. Tell your friends, invite them to join, and join us every week at Monday at 17 UTC. If you're not sure what Optimism is yet, not familiar, optimism.io is a great place to check it out. It is building a super chain that's built on top of and enhancing the capabilities of Ethereum. So check out the website to learn more. There's an amazing community that is devoted to fostering public goods creators and doing all sorts of things that are helpful for the future of humanity in the world. They have a great blog too at optimism.mirror.xyz that you can learn about. And also the Optimistics blog at optimistics.io/blog has some great introductory articles about the Optimism Fractal and also about optimism and all the cool stuff going on in optimism as well. We also publish in the Optimism Forum our little invitations and little updates here too. So there's lots of great posts in the Optimism Forum in general. If you want to just get involved with the community, great place to check out. There's all sorts of great stuff going on. And then for today, of course, we're going to play the respect game. If you're not sure what that is, then we'll go over it a little bit. But then we'll have the planning session afterwards in about 55 minutes or so, 50 minutes. And just a quick update too. Again, there's more in detail, but there was an approved proposal this week. There was a gentleman named John who joined, and there was an issue with the account, but that proposal has been approved unanimously by the council for this week, which was me, Hodlon, Tadas, Rosmari, and Zaal. So Tadas just distributed the respect on chain for this week, and that was approved. So thank you everybody for participating in that and helping John to get respect. And then Tadas also just shared an interesting poll about an evolution of the OPF tree idea as well in the Discord too. You can join our Discord at optimismfractal.com and then get engaged. There's been lots of interesting discussions going on here as well. So I encourage you to check it out, and perhaps that's something we can discuss in the planning session afterwards as well. You can vote in the poll here if you're interested in supporting this idea, and read the full Notion post for more details about this as well. And then also Hodlon put out this poll for the Optimism Fractal third week council of week 16, and there has been 5 registrants, I believe, which are, I think, the same 5 people as well. So these are the people who will be making decisions or who will be operating on the council basically together for the 6th week or for the 3rd week rather of the council. So thank you, Hodlon, for putting that out there. And then one of the quick updates, we discussed the vision last week. You can see the video in the Discord, and we had lots of ideas about Optimism Fractal's vision here that I also shared in the Discord as well, the link to it rather, and lots of people shared their ideas for the vision, including what you can see on the screen here. Right now, we're going to go play the respect game. So optimismfractal.com/details. You can learn about everything that we're doing here and how it works. And basically, in case you're not familiar, everybody will take 4 minutes to present what they've been doing to help optimism. We'll go into breakout rooms if we have enough, but I think we have 6 people, so we'll just stay in one room. And then everybody roll in respect, and you'll earn more respect by getting a higher rank. Everybody here knows how to play, but you can check out optimistics.io/respect game to learn more. If you're not familiar how to play, we have tutorial and a more detailed overview and stuff like that, but I'll just keep it short here because everybody knows how to play. And you can also check out the tools that we're using to play this as well on the site as well. So that's that. We're going to play the respect game now. Hope everybody has an awesome time, and I will stop the presentation, and I suppose we can just jump right into it. Thanks for listening. Does anybody want to go first or have any thoughts that you want to share on your mind?
I can go first.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'm also just going to give screen sharing permissions too, because I just realized I had not done that yet. Okay, so now you can share your screen if you'd like, and the floor is all yours, Rosmari.
Thank you. I would actually do the timer too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. So for this week, I edited the Optimism Fractal 11th was already edited. Actually, it was edited maybe, I don't know, it's been edited for maybe a few weeks now. And what I did was I worked on the thumbnail, and now it's published. So that's good. I also edited this past week the second breakout room for Optimism Fractal 13th and Optimism Fractal 15th because I want to make progress in publishing both breakout rooms. So I already put them on YouTube as unlisted, and I think Dan already set up some portion in the our Notion page where we can share a bunch of these as a resource. And also, as Dan mentioned earlier, we collaborated to make a promotion in the Optimism Governance Forum, and where we also touched on how to make proposals. We gave updates on our video production, and also linked to the tweet that we recently created too, that expands on the also planning sessions and the council and so forth. And also I did the same thing for and promoted the event in different channels in Farcaster, like the DAOs, the Optimism new channel, and the Optimism OP stack channel too. And then same thing with Discord and the Optimism Fractal channel, as well as in the Optimism's show and tell page. And similar thing in Telegram, in Eden Fractal Telegram group and the Fractal Telegram group, and also provided a message and update on the video production. And then also I attended Eden Fractal meeting on Wednesday. And also I was working to reach out to batch holders, another batch of batch holders, or actually delegates, not batch holders, to support us in our mission request about creating videos about optimism. And in the end, we didn't really reach the quorum, but it was part of my efforts to promote our mission request further and ask for delegates support. And also what else I was working on is making sure that I have all the promotional messages for each of the Optimism Fractal events in this database. So not everything I did last week, but I did quite a lot. Maybe I probably added 30 entries from past meetings. So it's looking much more complete now, and it will help me with the promotional efforts. And apart from that, I was also working on a thumbnail alongside Dan, who's providing feedback, and also we're collaborating in the promotional messages together about the Eden Fractal 83rd thumbnail here. That's it from me. Would like to go next? Well, a forest of hands here. Don't fight, guys. Please, one by one.
Well,
very shy.
okay.
We have a very shy group here. Oh, Tadas unmuted.
Yes, I can go.
You go, Tadas. I give the mic.
Okay, yeah, so I will post some links in the chat. Yeah, so the way I started working right now, I started working, taking notes about the stuff I work on in the Optimism Fractals project page. And one of the benefits of that is that I can like link like this stuff I worked on and notes about it in the chat. So if you want to learn more details about what I present here as contributions, you can go there. Yeah, so one of the things I worked on was improving how Optimism Fractal respect is displayed in block explorers. So one of the main issues is that holders list does not appear in Etherscan. I created a fix for that and deployed it on Optimism Sepolia testnet. The holders list now appears, but only the holders which received after the upgrade, which received respect after the upgrade I made. So we will have to find some way to notify the block explorer about older holders. And there are also then some issues in Block Scout because it does not recognize ERC20 transfer events correctly. Anyway, I wrote an overview in that task in Notion I linked here. Yeah, and this might be useful for Alex if he wants to help us solve these problems. Yes, I also worked on how respect is displayed in NFT pages like OpenSea. Also tried it on the testnet. Tried to add metadata for the collection. For some reason, it appears respect appears for testnet deployments I made earlier, but not for this new one. And yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is. So still working on that. Then I made some contributions to OPF Vision mission document that Hodlon created. Some just added some ideas. So basically, I proposed one mission, and that mission is inspired by general idea that I see a lot of overlap between what Eden Fractal does and what Optimism Fractal does, and I think when looking for vision, it's useful to it will be something like a overlap between mission reward equals impact, basically, one of the ways to summarize. And yeah, so because we try to help optimism, it makes sense that part of our vision is aligned with vision of optimism. And yeah, so that's just some idea for inspiration. And I also worked on OPF Tree idea. That's actually just, I created a new version of a document which basically presents a high level overview in a bit better way than the previous document. There is still a lot of ideas to work out, but I think we can try to decide if we want to go down this general direction. And I also distributed respect, taking into account issues from last week. Yeah, that's all from me. Sorry for taking longer. And who wants to go next?
Thank you, Tadas. Again, it seems like we have a lot of people raising their hands. So, I mean, I know Hodlon unmuted before. Oh, there goes Hodlon unmuting. I don't know if you want to go next.
Oh, I just unmuted to say that it's early, at least for me. So I'm still getting my brain booted up. But yeah, I'd be happy to go. So I'll start with my so I have some contributions that are directly related to optimism and some other contributions that are more tangentially related. I'll start with the tangentially related. So the main thing I've been focusing on is participation in a project that will be at ETH Denver, deployed at ETH Denver, called it's in the past had been called Jubmojis, but they've rebranded. I guess the group that's doing it has rebranded to Cursive, and what they're doing is developing an application that every ETH Denver participant can use to utilize NFC chips that will be in your event badge. And using those NFC chips and the app, people will be able to create zero knowledge proofs that they can then share with each other, and they can be grouped together into quests. So let's say if you meet, right, and tap a certain number of people's NFC chips that are a part of like one quest, then it'll unlock something. You'll unlock a prize, unlock a link to something, whatever it is that the quest does. So it's kind of a real world IRL application of zero knowledge technology. And it's exciting because this is the first time that it'll be deployed at an event, throughout an entire event. Before, they just had limited number of cards that they had to distribute, but ETH Denver, every single person is going to have one of these NFC chips on them. So that is exciting. And I'm helping to support this group and to help people create quests. And then another contribution I joined the deep dive for the HATS protocol. So HATS protocol did a deep dive. Dan was there as well, and into farcaster, or farcaster integration. It's like a HATS and farcaster integration. And that's something that HeroCast is a client, a farcaster client that is developing a way basically to have a delegated farcaster account for like a company or a group, right? We could have an Optimism Fractal delegated account, and as a collective, we could assign and remove permissions for anybody to like post to that account, and kind of distribute that responsibility. And so that was being developed, doing a deep dive on that. And I've been working in the background to the group, the team that I work with is really interested in this. So I've been connecting them with HATS in the background and HeroCast to kind of be beta testers for this, which is really exciting. And then the last one is I have a perpetual issue with my farcaster ID. I generated it in a wallet, my hot wallet that I use for all of my other identities. And that's just not how Farcaster works, apparently. And so what it does is I can't sign into Warpcast and I can't sign into a lot of clients, because the way that Farcaster is set up is the clients are set up as I would have to input my seed phrase, my mnemonic seed phrase, into Warpcast in order to use it. And the only way I can use it is I have to transfer the FID first, but that is incredibly complex. And so I've been working with a couple engineers to come up with some code to open source that would help people transfer their Farcaster IDs for outliers like me who cannot use Warpcast because I didn't do it right arbitrarily. So that's all the contributions for me.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Hodlon. Really great to hear. Would you like to pick somebody to go next?
Zaal, you want to go?
I guess so. Hello, everyone. How are we doing today?
Hey,
Okay.
hey.
So I have been working on a little side project with some of the people on my team called Wave Warz. We did our first rehearsal on Sunday, yesterday. Went really well, and we have our first official competition / match this Sunday. So the idea behind it is that there's 3 rounds with 2 contestants and 1 winner. We are currently doing the way we've set it up is that we have info here about the 2 contestants, and then there's an opportunity to super vote, which is essentially just an NFT. It's about $1 on Optimism, and this gives the artist opportunity to use the super votes to help weigh the scales so that they can win the rounds. Essentially, currently we're starting with Twitter Spaces just because we want to try and get individuals involved and around. But eventually we're going to switch it over, add video, and use Restream to stream it to all different kind of sites. And with Twitter Spaces, the first poll is going to be through Twitter, so it'll be off-chain, but the super votes will be on-chain. So if you feel so inclined, you can purchase a super vote, and that artist can use it for one of their rounds. So this week I've mostly been beta testing, updating some of the website with some of the people on my team, and we've now created some visuals for. Let me move it over to the other side. We've created some visuals for the event, and we're gonna go hard this week about promoting the event. So ultimately, each person that gets a super vote is entered into a raffle, where 40% of the losers' super vote contributions will go to that lucky winner. So it is really a bring your community, bring everyone, and showcase 2 artists that are out there making music on chain, and A, to promote their music, B, to have a little friendly competition, and C, to get some money in these guys' pockets. And this is going to be our first one. We're really just trying to get something out there and iterate on it, and make this a weekly maybe thing, a monthly thing. We're still kind of deciding stuff in the works with the team. And we also have an area for a sponsor, and that sponsor will get a 1-of-1 digital collectible for this specific event. So this first event will be Hurricane versus Django. And anyone who mints an NFT will eventually set up a leaderboard and show people who have donated for different people along the way. So this is mostly what I've been doing. The NFTs are on Optimism. We have a auction site that's on Optimism that is for the sponsors for the next episode, essentially, where people can come in and bid and be a part of the team. So there's a newsletter and frequently asked questions at the bottom. I will share the link, and then I also posted a Twitter post. Let me pull it up with some of our initial visuals. which it's called Wave Warz. So we're getting really involved with the waves, and we'd love if anyone wants to come support artists to come super vote. And yeah, that's about my time. I appreciate you all for listening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you, Zaal. Would you like to pick someone next? And I see Vlad's up, so I don't know, Vlad, you want to go next?
I wanted to ask Zaal so about the game. So
Yeah,
how do
what's
you
up?
win? How the artist
So you
can...
win based on votes. So Twitter votes are gonna be for each round. So I'm just gonna put up a Twitter poll. People will vote on whose music they like better, and then the artist is gonna DM me how many super votes they want to use for the round. So essentially it'll be a little bit of a game within the game where the artists are choosing how many super votes to use between different rounds to try and win 2 of the 3 rounds. And then I'm not going to reveal it until the very end so we can do all 3 rounds and then reveal the winner and then reveal the lucky fan. So
Okay, pretty cool. So the super vote enables to add additional vote to yourself?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then I put the link down there if anyone wants to support an artist. If you get one from each, you can be entered no matter what in a chance to win the raffle. So there's a little side plus. So
When is the first battle?
this upcoming Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
Mhm.
Looking forward to it. Sounds awesome.
Thank you. I guess since Vlad's asking all the questions, we'll switch it over to him.
Sure. I haven't contributed much to Optimism this week. We had a call with Tadas, Dan, Rosmari on Friday. Mostly just brainstorming about brainstorming about scoping out the work, scoping out what could we do, what could we build the next months. And yeah, not clear yet, but there are already many things that we have agreed upon. But it's getting clearer. In my opinion, it is important to decentralize the contract. So definitely that's something to focus on. I guess we will need to discuss with Tadas who's gonna do the contracts for that. If it's me, then I have to start diving into the solidity because that's something new for me. But I'm happy to do that, no problem. Yeah, and the second important thing is in my opinion to ensure that I read now the notion about the mission, about the vision, and Tadas wrote there for the mission to be, how did you write it? Like that we are not the ones who actually distribute the funding, but we are the ones who show how the funding should be distributed. And that's okay, but we need to, we need to build that system. How would we show that then? And ideally, not only the system, how to show, but also the system that would make the money flow. So if we don't want to have the token liquid, then there should be a system how then still to distribute the funding based on the respect holdings. And yeah, so those are the things that I'm thinking about and will continue to think about for the next meeting that we will have between Tadas, Rosmari, and Dan. I will try to come up with more specifically how to do the latter, the display of how to distribute the funding. Okay, that's it from me. I guess it's Dan left.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, Vlad, and thank you very much, everybody. Really great to hear. I'll go ahead and share what I have been up to now. Okay, so I've been working with Optimistics a lot, as always, and lots of stuff to help Optimism Fractal. There's a whole bunch of tabs here. There's a lot of like kind of little things I did this week, so I'll try to go quickly. For one thing, I put out this introductory message, or not introductory message, but just kind of week summarizing the week for Optimism Fractal in the Discord beforehand. I summarized the vision and the council registration and a project I created about producing videos for breakout rooms and the thread on farcaster and encouraging everyone to join. So I worked on that. I also, as Rosmari shared, I gave some feedback. Rosmari did a really nice job on the images and text for all these. So I gave some feedback for the promotions for this week, which you can see in the chat over here. Lots of different comments we went back and forth on. And then I helped also craft the governance forum post as well with the similar process, just providing feedback with Rosmari. As well as the video as well. I didn't have to provide much because it's really nice. And then, yeah, I mentioned there was that little project I put together about the videos and how we could publish these for the breakout rooms each week and stuff like that. Just starting to craft ideas about the best ways to do this in the future. And then I also, as Hodlon said, I participate in the HATS protocol deep dive session. HATS protocol is a really great coordination tool for decentralized work that I'm looking forward to learning about. I started by reaching out to Spencer Graham, who's one of the founders of HATS protocol, and a couple weeks ago he mentioned that they had this new system, so I said I'd love to see it, and then he reached out to me, and then I watched or listened to several of his podcasts to learn more about him and his work with HATS protocol. And I participated in the call. I asked like 3 or 4 questions. I spoke with founder as well as the creator of the HeroCast, which is the farcaster integration, which allows delegated posts on farcaster. And then I also I went back and forth with Spencer a couple times in PM, and I organized this project for exploring creating integration with the HATS protocol, and I organized it a lot more. So now there's lots of different things that we can do here so people can see it. And then I also I also got in touch with the creator or developer of the HeroCast and sent him some messages as well. And then I curated previous discussions where we talked about the HATS protocol and stuff like that, so I can kind of like make a good introduction with them, because I think that's a really good opportunity. I also was in contact with Peth from Metagame quite a bit too. Peth is a community leader who's doing really cool stuff with Metagame, helping people coordinate with Web3 and all sorts of fun stuff with the game. So I shared, I guess last week or 2 weeks ago, I shared a message like introducing myself and stuff like that. And then I followed up with some more messages. We went back and forth several times over several different things that we had an interest and in common, stuff like that. So you could see there, I was doing some research into like Web3 social media profiles and also about Coordinate too, following up on this too. And I made a little project about Quest too, which is something that HATS protocol used and something I learned about from Hodlon sharing. So I organized a project about this as well. And you can click on each of these in the Optimism Fractal Notion site. I also hosted the Optimism Fractal with the Optimistics meeting too, and put together this agenda that Vlad was talking about. We discussed several of these things. And then I helped organize a meeting with Alex, or potentially a meeting with Alex, about Alex expressed interest in helping out with the development for some of the things to see the visibility respect. So I sent a message there, and I also started up a development chat in the Optimism Fractal chat as well for Discord. I worked a lot on thinking about how I could build a business that could reward people, as Vlad was saying about paying people with funds. So I'm thinking of building kind of a business called Fractal Joy and applying for missions with the upcoming Optimism missions thing. So I have lots of notes here in my private database about how to do this and different grants I can make and legal entities and stuff like that. And then how to actually like build that business. I messaged back and forth with Zaal a couple times, and I did a lot of research into the Zaal and the Z Talent organization, and Wave Warz, and then I looked into like different music competitions that we've done before. So I shared that with him. I responded to Nuno about the respect game at Chili Bangs and all sorts of cool stuff with that. I responded to a couple of friends named Sean's and Martin and well, Mark was last week, but several people about Optimism Fractal who had reached out and are interested in joining. And then I also worked on this project about making it so that whenever people make updates in Notion, you can see it in Discord or Slack or something like that. So I was working on that quite a bit. Lastly, I'm 15 seconds over, so I'll wrap it up. I also promoted Optimism Fractal at Eden Fractal events as well. And we publish the videos there and stuff each week. My apologies for going a little bit long, but
Nice.
thank you very much, Hodlon. I see Rosmari shared the Telegram group, so if anybody hasn't joined there yet, I'm going to join that now. And then also, I had shared, if you could scroll up in the Zoom chat a little bit, I shared a little link. I guess it's a standard size link, but I shared a link to a page in the Notion for Optimism Fractal Week 16 contributions, where I started by me copying and pasting Tadas's, because Tadas did a really good job of just organizing that in the Zoom chat. But then I also wrote a couple of notes about Rosmari's contributions, Hodlon's contributions, Zaal, and Vlad too. So if anyone wanted to review that while you're reaching consensus, then feel free to do that, or feel free to add anything there if there's anything that I missed. I know Rosmari also added some notes there too, so thank you for that. And yeah, I'm going to join that Telegram group now. If anybody has any questions or comments related to reaching consensus, then feel free to share.
And there's 7 members.
Can
you leave or?
And the only option it gives me is delete and leave. Maybe I can leave from Dan. I joined by the wrong account by accident. I'll try to figure that out. I don't know why it says delete and leave. I can't just leave it.
Maybe if you want, I can create a new.
Yeah, maybe I'll just try just hitting the delete and leave, and I guess because otherwise it won't work if there's that. So I'll just see if that works. No, it says I don't know why it gave me the option to delete it. Okay, I just tried deleting it, and that just made it go away. So if you could please make another one, then please do that. My apologies for messing that up.
No, I don't know. Maybe it worked now.
Oh, it did work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, it makes more sense. I don't know why I would give Dogman the ability to delete it, but okay, sounds good. Okay, so far a few of us have entered our Optimism accounts as responses. If everybody else could do the same, we'd appreciate it.
Every week I go to my last week's Optimism Fractal call to copy my address.
I also do something similar.
I copy it from MetaMask.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to do it. Make sure Telegram doesn't get in the way. And try to get all the respect for Pavel Durrell or whatever his name is. The founder of Telegram, I think. Okay, I think we're ready for everybody to enter their account. So Rosmari, you could put out the prompt for level 6, and now we can see who did the most to help Optimism. Okay, votes are in, and Tadas has 3 votes. But Zaal has 1 vote, I have 1 vote, and Rosmari has 1 vote. Does anybody want to advocate either way or share their reasoning? I could also share people who voted for Tadas, Hodlon, Tadas, and me. Vlad voted for Zaal. Rosmari voted for me, and Zaal voted for Rosmari.
Well, for me, that's just me being my subjective outlook that I think what I work on is very important, both for Optimism Fractal and Optimism, because the integration, I'm talking about OPF Tree idea, it can help, I think it can help greatly both Optimism, retroPGF process, and Optimism Fractal. And I think it's something that it's really worth working, starting to look at as soon as possible. So just wanted to stress that. And thanks, I see people voted for me.
What's the consensus needed?
66%, right?
Yep.
More than 66 or
So
66?
four of us here need to vote for one person.
Okay, we're at that now.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, it needs
Yep.
to be 66.67%. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I agree with everything Tadas said there. So glad to see that Tadas got level 6. Okay.
We have the same thing, but for Zaal now, sitting at
Yeah.
60%.
I switched my vote to Zaal, so Zaal now has 66%.
Nice.
Okay, and level 4.
Oh, it's unanimous.
Oops. Okay, thank you, everyone. And level 3.
Oh, thanks for the vote, Rosmari.
Okay, and we have a split here. 3 for Hodlon and 3 for Rosmari. I was also split too. I wasn't sure. Did we want to go advocate either way?
I advocate for Hodlon. There's a lot more that I can do to receive more as a level, I think. So congrats, Hodlon, for level 3.
Okay, yeah, congrats, Hodlon. Really nice work from both of you. Okay, and it looks like Rosmari will be level 2 and Vlad will be level 1 for this week. And of course, very much appreciate everything you're doing, Vlad. And it was a great discussion and looking forward to seeing the next steps and all you're thinking about that. Vlad's got serious brain power that he's putting towards this, so very much appreciate it. Okay, and everybody can now click here to where it says here to submit that. And then I suppose once we get that submitted and we confirm that we have enough consensus on chain, then we can head into the planning session.
Tadas, have you ever gotten RPC error, internal JSON RPC error?
No. Where are you seeing it?
in the console.
What was the solution to the blockchain not ready error? Sorry to step on your issue.
Mm,
I think you have to be logged in first into MetaMask or the wallet you're using.
Yep. Yeah, I did that. Need to refresh.
I submitted successfully.
There we go. I refreshed it.
Vlad, are you getting this error not the first time, or I think you had
Yeah.
it earlier, right? Every week.
Last time was the same, yeah. I posted screenshot to our group.
Internal JSON RPC error.
It seems like the endpoint is not working, but I don't.
I was able to successfully submit as well.
Maybe it's something MetaMask, maybe old
Yeah.
version of MetaMask, because you're probably from the front end side, it's the same as what we are using, probably. So
No, but there is some kind of endpoint in the MetaMask as well.
yeah, I think actually it's in MetaMask actually sets the endpoint, I think, for the network. Also, make sure you're
I'm
selected
using mainnet
Optimism
optimism.
mainnet Optimism as a network, right?
The endpoint is mainnet.optimism.io. Which one do you have?
Check. I pasted it in the Zoom chat.
So
Okay.
it's just Hodlon and Vlad who are having issue, but everybody else has been able to get it successful. Is that correct? Or...
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So everybody's got it except for Vlad, is that right?
Yeah. What was the issue, Hodlon? How did you resolve it?
Oh, I just refreshed the page. It seems to not like, so I wasn't logged into MetaMask, like my MetaMask wasn't decrypted. And it seems to not like that. So I just needed to refresh it, and then it realized that the MetaMask was logged in on the right network.
Okay.
So it's not the same endpoint, Vlad.
For me, it was different. Yeah, now it says that my chain ID is my chain ID is 10.
Yeah, my chain ID is also 10. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it says to me could not fetch chain ID.
Maybe refresh after you change settings or something.
No, it didn't let me to update.
You mean it didn't let you to save a new setting?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what should we do? Should we try to troubleshoot it live? It's just about 2 minutes until the end of the hour when the planning session starts. No. What's that, Vlad? Do you think we should just proceed and then you can try to troubleshoot
Yes,
that afterwards? Okay.
Well, let's plan.
Okay, sounds good. Let's plan. Well, thanks for troubleshooting that, and thanks everybody for the great respect game. Really exciting and inspiring to see everybody's work, as always, and especially more and more each time. And that concludes the respect game. Woohoo. Got some hearts. Nice. I love it. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And maybe I'll just go and just give a little presentation here just to catch us up on what we'll discuss. We still don't have like a formal system for the planning session, other than that there's 6 of us here and we'll talk about what we want to plan. But yeah, basically quick overview. Here's where we can brainstorm and coordinate and create the future of Optimism Fractal together. This will be for a half hour long, and we're actually like maybe 31 minutes long if we want. As I said before, we approved this proposal, so congrats on the second proposal we approved, the third proposal, making nice progress here. And then, actually, I probably should open up the topics database because that's how we decided last week. So that's how we can use it. This is Tadas also shared this in his chat, but this is something that I think Tadas was interested in discussing, that he rewrote the OPF tree. Oh, I see Zaal said he has to jump this week. Awesome respect game. Thanks so much, Zaal, for everything you're doing. Really appreciate it. And then also see you at the Zaal event soon too. Okay, cool. So yeah, if anybody else needs to leave too, I forgot to mention that, then feel free. But otherwise, if you can stick around for the planning session, very happy to plan with you. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of interesting messages here. We can discuss whatever. It might be interesting to discuss the idea that Tadas shared about the OPF tree, and he shared a proposal, or not a proposal, a poll here, just to get kind of a feel for if people support it. I still haven't had the chance to read most of the new version yet. I only had the chance to read a little bit, so perhaps if Tadas wanted to introduce it with us, then that might be helpful. I know we talked about a lot similar ideas at the meeting a couple days ago, but it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about this. And then also, we probably should put another poll too for the week 17 at some point. If anyone wants to put that, feel free. If not, I can do it later today. But we have the council members for this week. It's the 5 people who it was everybody but Vlad is on it for this week. That was here. And then we could also discuss the vision too, although I think Tadas had suggested in the Discord message that maybe it's better to discuss how to prioritize things before we get into the vision mission too. But there's lots of stuff we discussed here. Hodlon had put together kind of an overview of what people were sharing last week for the vision of Optimism Fractal. And then Tadas had shared a detailed overview of some ideas for the mission and vision over here that you can check out as well. And then if we were to go back to the Optimism Fractal page, then at the bottom of this page, one system that we could use, I'm still planning on proposing something for like a community agendas kind of game where we can vote on Snapshot for topics. But right now, maybe the best thing we have a bunch of projects and tasks up here that we could discuss as well. But we have this section, where to go? Optimism Fractal topics. Last week we used this and we hit the upvote button. So if you wanted to just go and upvote any topic in particular, then you can feel free to do that. With the system, it's not perfect because you have to unupvote, like to toggle it, like you can toggle it on and off. So it still retains the votes from last week. So I don't know if we should use this system to figure out what topic we want to discuss, or if anybody's interested in discussing the vision or the OPF tree or anything like that. Does anybody have any strong feelings about what we want to discuss, or anything you'd like to share?
I added a time-sensitive topic on there, which is that second from the top, the absentee participation. Just because next week, like Dan, you and I, at least that I know of, are going to be at ETH Denver, and like I know that I can't commit to come. Like I don't know what I'm going to be doing 1 week from now because we'll be at the event. So wondering if it's worth discussing absentee participation, even if just deciding like, no, we're not doing that right now. You have to be at the at this event in order to like participate and earn respect, because that's kind of how it is right now and has been.
Good question and good point. Thanks, Hodlon, for taking the initiative and making the topic. We have 3 upvotes here now too. So yeah, usually the way it's gone in the past is just if somebody can't make it for the event for 1 week, then they can generally just share that in the next week or the next time that they're there. And in the optimismfractal.com/details page, it says like ranking contributions for the past week. But I think we've always been pretty flexible about that. So if somebody can't join for like a month or something like that, then generally they can share what they did for that month, and then it might not work out perfectly. Maybe they won't get as much respect as they deserve for the whole time, but like it's kind of subjective. And usually, if somebody shares, "Oh, here's what I did for the past 2 or 3 weeks, or whatever, I couldn't make it last week," then that'll make it more likely that I'll give that person, a higher level because of that. So that's one thing. I remember you also mentioned that in the retrospective. I think you mentioned something like that too. I'm open to some other idea too, and I think this is a great thing to discuss and figure out other solutions for in the future too. But at the current moment, that's kind of the system that we've generally used, just that you can only earn respect if you join the events, but then you can share what you did for previous weeks, and that can help you earn more respect in future events.
No, I think that makes sense. And I remember this coming up and you saying that in the past, and I think that makes sense. And good to clarify. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts or like a different way to think about it.
Okay, sounds good. Tadas?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you Dan said.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well,
Awesome.
thanks. Curious to hear if anybody else has any thoughts, and yeah, thanks for letting us know, Hodlon. And then yeah, in the future too, I would love to make it so that people can earn respect in different ways too. Like for example, Vlad had brought up the original Fractally white paper where the respect game is based off of. It was released a couple years ago and inspired a lot of this, and it had ideas that people could earn respect by posting on social media. And like getting likes on their posts, for example. So it's not only earning it at events. And also, I think some of the ideas that Tadas is working on and that we've been collaborating on with the OPF tree, there's a possibility that like if you accomplish a task or a project, you could also earn respect for that too. So in the future, I would like to see some sort of systems where people can earn respect throughout the week, even not by joining the events, but just in other ways as well. So that's something that would be cool to discuss and explore as we go forward, but that also takes some extra design work and so forth. And the simplest solution right now is just earn respect at respect games. Speaking of that, I also did add this topic last week about exploring integration with Farcaster and Optimism Fractal. I think it might be possible to build that kind of social media app now with Farcaster. I did some research there, so potentially at some point soon we could have it where people get awards with respect for making great posts on Farcaster and different channels as well. I see somebody marked respect game absentee participation as resolved. Nice. I probably should add some sort of filter here too, so I can filter out resolved, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if like we can like put them over into a different table or just like hide them. So like once it's marked resolved, it's just hidden from the table. And there's a way to like, if we want to go back and look at discussions and notes and stuff, we can just filter them back in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What I'll do right now is I'll just change the filter to add filter or tags right now. I already have a tags filter, and then I'll put does not contain resolved, and this will be the active topics. Maybe I'll rename this table to active topics, and then I'll duplicate it, and then I will name this one resolved topics. And of course we can change the name here, but then for this one, I'll change the filter to does contain resolved. So now this section says what's been resolved topic, and this is an active topic.
So so the next one on here, I'll upload it as well. The OPF Tree v1.1 I see was also submitted. Tadas, you also submitted it in the Snapshot to be voted on. So maybe we can talk about that. I haven't had a chance to like do a deep dive and read through it, but maybe we can spend a couple minutes if you want, like, I don't know, pitch the proposal so to understand what the vote is for.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want me to stop the screen share, Tadas, while you do that, or do you want me to keep it up, or do you want to screen share?
Yeah,
or...
you can keep it up. I will
Okay.
try to go through it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so this is basically this idea. One of the things this idea is about is how to do what we just did for topics in this discussion, how to do the same things for deciding what contributors of Optimism Fractal should work on, or rather not deciding it for them, but Optimism Fractal signaling opinion, what it needs the most. I think if it would be able to signal that, it could help greatly teams like us optimistics to determine priorities, because sometimes we might disagree amongst ourselves about what needs to be done first, needs to be prioritized. But then if Optimism Fractal would make a clear signal that this is priority, then it could help us decide. And in general, like, maybe there are contributors who might want to start participating in Optimism Fractal but don't know how to contribute. So this would create a list basically of projects relevant for Optimism Fractal where people can help. Something that I think Bitbackers and Hodlon you talked about, and we already kind of have it in Notion, but this would also enable us to prioritize, like vote on projects with our respect, and that way basically signal priority of work item. So that's one of the features of this idea. The other is the other function of this would be to try. It's an attempt to get more developers on Optimism. Developers developing for Optimism Fractal. And the way we would try to do that is by integrating with retroPGF, basically. So at the end of this, before the around the time the retroPGF season round starts, we would create a list with teams which contributed to Optimism Fractal. And so that way, these teams could apply to retroPGF and get earnings for their contributions. Similar to how we as Optimistics earned for contributions to Optimism Fractal, more teams and individual developers could do the same. And they would have proof that they contributed to something that Optimism Fractal values. Yeah, and this would also a more even higher level idea is that this would enable more fractal experiments on in the ecosystem. And yeah, so these are basically main motivations and how I'm proposing to do that. So then could you scroll to process section? Yeah, so this you see this numbered list of 5 items basically presents an overview. So first we would have to determine a list of projects for Optimism Fractal that Optimism Fractal sees as direct contributions to it. So I call this OPF project list. The way we could do that simply by using Snapshot. One general idea is to have like a poll. Just think about this as a poll for now, where any respect holder can add a project, an option rather, and respect holders can vote on options in the poll. Each option being a project, and we can distribute their vote, respect weighted vote among projects, signifying like specifying how much we personally prioritize that project, and that way respect holders could determine the overall priority of project. Then, yeah, so this would have to be done for this season. In this case, it would have to be done as soon as possible, and then we would have a time window for people to work on these projects or on some other projects. Then around the time, maybe before the beginning of Optimism of retroPGF round, we would want to do two things: evaluate teams contributing to Optimism Fractal and evaluate teams contributing to Optimism as a whole. How would these steps would be done? So we could host events, kind of like retro pitches, which Dan already hosted, where people would present their work in either of those two categories, maybe separate events for these two categories, and then we would create a similar kind of poll for respect holders to distribute their vote for teams which presented their work. And it's probably expected that these teams would also be retroPGF applicants. And yeah, so here we come to the last step, is we would have to create a list, retroPGF list for both at least two retroPGF lists. So one list would be for best teams or individuals who contributed to Optimism Fractal projects, to Optimism Fractal directly, and the weights in that list would be distributed according to the results of the third step, where we voted on best teams, best contributors to Optimism Fractal. And then the same thing basically for the list of teams which contributed to Optimism as a whole. So yeah, so that second list could be held for retroPGF as a whole. I doubt it in the beginning it will be much help, but because we are still small, but for this to matter that much, but this could be a one small step towards that. And yeah, and that first list would help contributors to Optimism Fractal get rewarded. So that's an overview.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So am I understanding correctly that because when you're talking about retroPGF, you were talking about the retroPGF process that Optimism does, correct? Not like the concept of that, but doing it within, like, with respect tokens. Like, we're talking about doing this process in order to supplement the retroPGF to help distribute Optimism OP tokens within a project that maybe receives one lump sum. In this case, it would be Optimism Fractal, but any project that receives one lump sum, this is a way to like internally determine the value and distribute those equitably. Is that correct?
Yeah, the first part is correct, that I'm thinking about how to integrate with existing retroPGF process on Optimism, which works already. And the second part, yeah, I think we should present our tools as a way for any team to determine how to distribute funds from retroPGF. But I'm not sure what you said covers my idea totally. So basically, I mean, yeah, so I imagine these teams being created, and these teams would not necessarily have to use our Fractal software, but the idea is that respect holders would vote for teams which, in their opinion, would contribute at the most. And so in the end, we would produce a retroPGF list that basically is based on opinion of Optimism Fractal.
For people within Optimism Fractal, or for other, so like there's a retroPGF pitch, and then respect holders would like basically show signal support using their respect tokens for those projects external to Optimism Fractal.
Yes, correct. And like I said, there could be two lists, like people contributing to any project which contributes to Optimism and has retroPGF could come to these retro pitches sessions, and where they would be evaluated by respect holders, basically. But also it would be an opportunity for teams that contribute directly to Optimism Fractal to earn that way as well. I propose two separate lists, one for Optimism Fractal contributors, direct contributors, and one for Optimism contributors. Dan suggested that initially, and I liked it because I think it's good to separate those two lists, because Optimism Fractal will be a bit more biased towards, it's likely to be a bit biased towards teams which contribute to Optimism Fractal, because respect holders are participate in Optimism Fractal, so we care about it. That does not necessarily mean that whole Optimism cares that much. I think it's nice thing to separate. But...
Great points, Tadas. Thank you very much for explaining, and thank you, Hodlon. I'm curious if that answered your questions, Hodlon. And then also, Tadas, I know there's a couple other sections here. I don't know, you kind of went over it to some extent, I think, but I don't know if you want to go into more detail at these parts as well.
I think I'm curious what you guys think about what I said so far.
Cool. Well, I have a lot of thoughts that I could share. And yeah, this section over here, just high-level overview, explains benefits, and then 3.1 is ecosystem of fractal governance experiments. So I encourage everybody to read it. And then if Tadashi did want to at any point return to it, then feel free. Excited to hear and really appreciate you sharing it. Hodlon, do you have any other thoughts or questions about that you wanted to share, or Rosmari or Vlad, or should I go ahead and share some of my thoughts?
It sounds interesting for me. One thing I was curious about, but you don't have to answer it right now. It's just, what about projects which have contributed to Optimism Fractal, but aren't necessarily going for retroPGF, for example? Would they be able to still participate? Something like that I thought about. But we can talk about it later.
Well, my current answer is that we can always participate in general Optimism Fractal events, but like I guess the question is if we could participate in these pitches session to present their project, even if they don't have a retroPGF application, right?
Yes, and as you were responding now, it just made me think in general too. But anyway, for right now, it's yes, for just for them to vote.
Yeah, it's it seems really like the concepts, the ideas are really interesting, and like I can see the benefits from them, and I think it's worth moving forward with this. Like I support it generally. I think there's a lot of like kind of the details. I'm having trouble like kind of grasping the more specific concepts of it, but I think that that's like I think I get enough of what the aim is to feel comfortable being like, yeah, let's like move forward and continue to, you know, craft it and work on it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not very detailed. I still have some open questions about how to do the polls and so on, like technically. And so yeah, that's why I kind of just described it very abstractly. And
Okay, well, very interesting. There's a lot to think about here. So if anybody wants to review this over the week too, and then share thoughts in the Discord or share thoughts, we can have another discussion about it at next week's planning session too, then feel free. But great to hear all the thoughts. Thank you so much to Tadas and Rosmari and Hodlon. Curious, Vlad, if you have any thoughts about you want to share here, or we have about 7 minutes left for the planning session. We could always wrap it up early, or we can go a couple minutes late if we need. But I can also go ahead and share some of my thoughts, as well as I could share my screen and share a couple other related things too that I think might be helpful for providing some context as well. Maybe I'll just go ahead and do that now. So, oh, I see Vlad's turning on his camera though, or something it looks like.
You can go ahead. I don't have like something specific to share. I need to think, yeah.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Well, I'll share this, and then maybe if some thoughts come to mind after I share, I'll just be a couple minutes, and then happy to hear your thoughts. Very much looking forward to it. So, oh man, I made the same window twice. That makes me confusing about which one I'm sharing my screen on. Let me just fix that real quick. Okay, so this is the one that we're just looking at here that Tadas was just sharing. And yeah, generally, I'm very much in favor of this idea. I'm looking forward to reading this in more detail to wrap my head around it, and then also leave comments too. Everybody can leave comments too. I think everybody knows how to do that. If you go there and leave a comment, if there's anything you're not sure about or have a question about, I encourage you to do so. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive in deeper, and generally I really like it. But I'm thinking of the specifics, and I'll provide more details. One thing that's helpful to maybe know about this is that we've been working and thinking about this a lot ever since we started Optimism Fractal. We've been thinking about how retroPGF and Optimism Fractal have like really amazing synergies, and we want to help retroPGF and the Optimism Collective make retroPGF more efficient. So we published an article that was that Tadas wrote back in December on the forum. It's also on the Optimistics blog too, with more details about this, how it can help a lot, because Optimism retroPGF has an issue where badge holders have a problem. There's only like 150 badge holders, and they get like a lot of pressure because they're getting a lot of funding. So they're trying to figure out better ways to review impact. There's also Regen Learnings by Kevin Owaki, co-founder of Gitcoin, and Carl and other great innovators who shared some ideas, or actually hosted this new thing called Regen Learnings, where they're trying to figure out how to do better impact evaluation, and we think the respect game can really help with that. So there's an article here. Perhaps I could share a link in the chat if anybody wants to check it out, and maybe I'll add this to the Notion page. But there's lots of ideas here, which is kind of based off here. You can see prioritization of projects based on respect distribution and lists and so forth. So just there's a lot of extra information. There's also some interesting comments here too. So this is kind of following up on this, but with more specificity. Another thing too is we're working on a mission request with Optimism to improve the retroPGF process. We never ended up doing this because, well, we talked a lot with some of the badge holders and people, but we just didn't have it quite formulated yet. But we are planning on maybe making a mission about this. And we also thought about different ways that we can improve retroPGF too, like consensus games. But if anyone wants me to share those, I can. But basically, just a lot of different ideas that we have here. Tadas also has a task in Optimism Fractal 2 for developing OPF Tree, where you can see the original idea, the V1 from he shared a week or two ago, as well as some different tasks he's thinking about. So if anyone wants to collaborate and share some thoughts here, then that's in the Optimism Fractal tasks section, and you can see the original version where I shared some comments here, and Natasha shared a lot of comments as well. And then you can review like where this idea kind of came from and the V1 of it, and see the progression, and you can make comments on either one. And then also one thing I want to mention too. Well, maybe first, actually, Tadas had mentioned retro pitches. So we have hosted retro pitches, and we have a lot of infrastructure set up, kind of in like the branding and stuff like that. And those went quite well. We have a page, optimism.io/retro pitches, where people can learn about these and watch the videos from the first 3 ones. So that could be a way that we could enable people from all of Optimism to join Optimism Fractal events, or at least the retro pitches events after Optimism Fractals, and participate. And people could potentially vote with respect scores, as he's saying there. And then Tadas also came with an idea called respect trees, which is pretty related to Optimism, the OPF trees. He shared this back at Eden Fractal back like almost a year ago now. And if people wanted to dive in deeper with how this could work for like the task prioritization, we have a video with like some timestamps and stuff like that where you can learn more. So if anyone one, I mean, like to dive into the details and stuff like that, then lots of resources to the optimism.io/respect trees, and you can find it by going to the tools section. One thought I want to share is just in addition to helping retroPGF, I think this can help anybody allocate funding too. And so I'm aiming to do that with Fractal Joy. I mentioned that a little bit. I was asking the Optimistics a little bit, and I'm thinking about launching a new brand called Fractal Joy. And I realized that there's a new there's mission requests that are due like in 2 days. So I'm going to try to rush together mission requests to ask for funding to test this process out. You can ask for a growth experiment, which is where you can give funding to people for different things that use the OP mainnet. So I'm going to work on building that. And then I was thinking about like maybe separating some of these things, because it seems like maybe there's a combination between like maybe we can call Fractal Joy Quest or something like that. Or it shouldn't be called Fractal Joy Quest. That can just be how I can identify it from the Fractal Joy brand. But like maybe there's 2 different things. Maybe one is like quests for completing tasks and projects for Optimism Fractal, and maybe one is like maybe it's got a different name or something like that, like doing grants. I don't know, just some different ideas. But just to also say that this is not just for retroPGF. retroPGF is obviously getting a huge amount of funding, but it can also provide signals for anybody else to get funding. And I'm aiming to do that with if I can raise funding from Optimism to help test that process, so it can help contribute to the development of this. So we'll see how that goes, but other people can participate in this as well, and so forth. So those are just some ideas I wanted to share, not directly feedback, because I'm going to read more in detail, but just things that might help support this idea, and things that people who are interested in this idea might want to learn more about. And then once again, you can vote in this proposal. I know people have been generally favorable. I'll probably vote yes on this, but people could also vote yes if certain changes are made, if you had some ideas that you didn't quite like, or you wanted to be improved or anything like that. And then we are like a minute away, so if you want, we can keep discussing it, but just give us the opportunity to wrap up whenever we want. This has been a great half hour at the planning session, and of course we meet every week at Monday 17 UTC. So thanks everybody so much for the awesome meeting, and looking forward to seeing you next week as well, and really excited where Optimism Fractal is going. And yeah, I think that this path is really exciting, and it can provide a huge amount of value to Optimism Collective, and help grow Optimism Fractal, help attract people to Optimism Fractal, help everybody in the world really a lot. So I want to thank Tadas for sharing this idea and working and sharing all the great stuff, and everybody's feedback as well. Really, really exciting.
Thanks.
Looks like Rosmari had a hand injury there. As she's going to the heart. It's not easy to send one.
As I was unmuting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that event was great.
Awesome. Curious if Vlad, any thoughts came to mind that you formulated, or you want to save for next time, or Rosmari, Hodlon, Tadas, any other last thoughts, or we can wrap it up whenever you're all ready as well.
No epiphanies.
What was that?
Oh, no epiphanies. Okay.
No.
No, what?
Epiphany.
Oh.
Epiphanies.
Oh.
Couldn't choose more complex words.
I look forward to your epiphanies, Vlad. I'm sure they'll come, and then we'll all be in awe of the epiphanies of Vlad. It sounds like a book or something, like an ancient book. I see Hodlon giving the heart. Hodlon, you're muted if you want to share anything else. Well, anyway, we can all have more epiphanies over the coming week too. So does anyone have any last thoughts you want to share now, or should we wrap it up here?
I think we can wrap it up.
Okay.
On my side.
Sounds good. We got some thumbs up. We got some hearts. Great to hear. Well, thanks so much, Tadas. Thanks so much, Vlad, Hodlon, and Rosmari. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching and being here with Optimism Fractal. Please feel free to join us and invite our friends. We love to meet people and all that. So we'll be here each week, Mondays at 17 UTC, and you'll see how the OPF tree can grow. and all the other cool stuff they're doing here. So thanks everybody so much. I think that's it. Maybe I'll count down and we'll go Optimism Fractal as we sometimes like to do. 2, 1, 0, and go Optimism Fractal. Woo-hoo!
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye.
Thanks all.